All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. We're going to dive deep into something pretty fascinating today.
Absolutely.
We're going to tackle those sugar cravings.
Oh, yeah.
That, undeniable urge you get sometimes for something sweet. We're
Yeah.
talking about why your brain seems to have this, inbuilt sweet tooth.
Yeah.
Ever get that feeling where you just have to have something
Oh,
sweet?
totally. Yeah, like my brain just starts screaming for a cookie or something.
Exactly. And we're going to, figure out what's going on there. Why does this happen?
Yeah, for real. What's the deal with that?
So our guide for today is this really cool YouTube video I found called Metabolism Made Easy.
Oh, nice.
It breaks down the science of sugar cravings
Right.
in a really clear way.
Oh,
So
cool.
let's jump right in.
Hey.
So first things first, our brains need a ton of energy to function, right?
Oh, yeah. They're like these little energy hogs.
Right. And they're actually super picky about where that energy comes from.
Yeah, like they only want the good stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And their preferred fuel source is glucose.
Glucose. The good old sugar.
Yep. Glucose is a simple sugar that our brains use for basically everything. Thinking, moving, even just keeping our organs running.
Right. It's like the premium fuel for our brain.
Exactly. Like high-octane stuff for a race car. It gives our brains the quick energy they need to operate at peak performance.
I like that analogy.
Thanks. So this kind of explains why we get those mid-afternoon slumps, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. When you just feel like you can't focus.
Exactly. It's like our brain's running low on fuel, and it's sending out those urgent signals like, hey, feed me sugar stat.
Totally. But then that makes me wonder, why doesn't our brain just use fat for energy?
Yeah, that's a good question. We have plenty of fat stored in our bodies, right?
Right. Like, why can't the brain just tap into those reserves?
That's where things get a little more complicated. So there's this super selective bouncer guarding the entrance to our brain. It's called the blood-brain barrier.
Okay, the blood-brain barrier, I've heard of that. What does it do?
It basically acts like a filter, only letting certain molecules pass through from the bloodstream into the brain.
Ah, okay, so it's like a security checkpoint.
Exactly.
Right.
And larger molecules like fatty acids, they just can't squeeze through.
Oh, wow. So they're stuck outside?
Yep. But smaller molecules like glucose, they have a VIP pass.
Interesting. So our brains are kind of picky eaters then, huh?
They really are. And this blood-brain barrier is actually super important. It protects the brain from harmful substances that might be circulating in our blood.
Oh, that makes sense.
But it also means that our brains need a constant supply of glucose from the bloodstream to function properly.
Gotcha. So it's like a trade-off.
Right. But that brings up another interesting question. What about people on those ketogenic diets? The keto diet?
Yeah, they drastically cut carbs and supposedly run on fat instead.
Exactly. So what's going on in their brains if they're not getting much glucose?
That's where it gets really cool. Our brains aren't completely reliant on glucose, believe it or not. When glucose is scarce, they can actually switch to an alternative fuel source called ketones.
Ketones, like the keto diet.
Yeah, exactly. Ketones are produced when the body breaks down fat for energy, a process called ketosis. It's like this amazing backup system that kicks in when our brains are running low on their preferred fuel.
Wow. So it's like our brains have a built-in emergency generator.
Yeah. And get this, there's some really fascinating research suggesting that ketones might actually provide some cognitive benefits.
Really? Like what?
Well, some studies have shown that ketones can improve focus and mental clarity.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. Athletes are actually starting to explore the potential of ketosis to enhance their performance.
Wow. So there's a whole other side to this. It's not just about avoiding that sugar crash.
Right. There could be some real advantages to using ketones as fuel.
Right. But let's get back to those sugar cravings for a minute. What's actually happening in our brains when our glucose levels start to drop? Is it just a gentle nudge? Or is it more of a, hey, I need sugar stat situation?
Oh, it's definitely more of a stats situation.
Yeah.
Like a full-blown alarm is going off.
Precisely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When glucose levels drop, our brain throws this massive alarm party.
An alarm party.
Yeah. And the hypothalamus, this tiny but mighty region in the brain, is the party planner. It basically sends out emergency signals to the pancreas and the adrenal glands.
Okay, so the hypothalamus is like the control center.
Exactly. And these signals trigger a whole cascade of hormonal responses.
So it's like a sugar 911?
Yeah, pretty much. The pancreas responds by releasing glucagon, a hormone that tells the liver to release its stored glucose.
So like the liver has a secret stash of sugar.
Kind of. It stores glucose in the form of glycogen, which is like a quick energy bar that the liver can break down and release when needed.
Okay, that makes sense.
But wait, there's more. At the same time, the adrenal glands are releasing epinephrine and cortisol, our classic stress hormones.
Oh man, so it's like a double whammy.
Yep. And those stress hormones ramp up sugar production even further.
So it's like our body's pulling out all the stops to get our brain the sugar it needs.
Exactly. And the liver is the real MVP in this process.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it has two main ways to produce glucose. The first is glycogenolysis, which is breaking down that stored glycogen, that quick energy bar we were talking about.
Right, right.
And the second is gluconeogenesis, which is actually creating brand new glucose from scratch.
Hold on, making glucose from scratch? That sounds complicated.
It is. But the liver is basically a master chef. It can whip up glucose using different ingredients like amino acids.
Wow, so it's like building a house and you need all these different materials to construct something new.
Exactly. And the liver is like the ultimate contractor, making sure our brains have the energy they need to keep the lights on.
That's incredible. Our bodies are seriously amazing. They have this whole intricate system to make sure the brain gets its fuel no matter what.
Totally. It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
So next time I feel that sugar craving coming on, I'll know it's not just my sweet tooth talking, it's my brain demanding its high-octane fuel.
Right. And knowing the science behind it can help us make more informed choices. Do we really need that sugary snack, or is there a healthier way to fuel our brains?
It's definitely food for thought, literally. This deep dive has definitely opened my eyes to the complex relationship between our brains and sugar.
Me too. It's amazing how much is going on behind the scenes.
And if you're as fascinated by this as we are, I highly recommend checking out that Metabolism Made Easy video on YouTube. It's a great resource for understanding the science of sugar cravings.
Definitely worth a watch.
All right, everyone, that's going to do it for this deep dive. Until next time, happy diving.
See ya!